Hi, everybody, and welcome to What You Need to Know. I am Sybil Wilkes, and oh boy, I don't know what happened there. He just, okay. Hey, George Wallace.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, hello, good morning, and good afternoon, good evening to you, Dominique.
Hi, Sybil.
And Damon Williams. Damon Williams, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Sybil? How you doing, Dominique, George?
Hello, everybody.
George, how you doing, Dame? I'm good, thank you.
So,
Wonderful,
you guys,
wonderful.
I want to talk news headlines with you, and I also want to talk as the three of you are comedians and what's going on in the business, as well as what happened last week with our boy and our friend DL Hughley falling out and getting back on the circuit and all of that stuff. So we will talk about that. For those of you who don't know, we have a newsletter called What You Need to Know, and every day we send out information to you on the top stories affecting the African American community. And if you don't have a subscription, I highly recommend and ask you to subscribe to our newsletter. If you go to SybilWilkes.com, that's SYBIL, like the crazy girl, WILKES, like John Wilkes Booth. And you can subscribe to our What You Need to Know. Give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning, first thing. So
what do you mean, like the crazy girl? You are the crazy Sybil. What do you mean, like the crazy Sybil?
George, believe it or not, there was a book and a movie, and I know I'm dating myself, and I'm probably only the one dating right now that I am dating. So the movie and the book came out, and there are like two generations of kids that don't know of this movie from the 1970s.
Yes, classic Sybil movie. But look, Sybil, you gotta get some better examples of who to compare your name to.
Well, it does make I know, because people are like, really, John Wilkes Booth, but for out there, and Damon. Just imagine if they don't know the movie Sybil, how many people don't know that John Wilkes Booth was the man that murdered Abraham Lincoln? So
right.
Like, wow.
Oh, that one, okay. I forgot.
You forgot. You used to play golf with him. What do you mean?
I was at the theater. I was upstairs in the top where the Negroes sit.
That particular night, George, that's hilarious. So you guys, there's a lot going on, not only coronavirus wise, but of course, as we know, 1 month ago today, George Floyd was killed by the Minneapolis police. And this is 1 month. And just imagine, just think about where we were 1 month ago and all the things that have happened in these 30 days.
The world is a different world since a month ago. Isn't that amazing? And what has happened, the amazing amount of videos that have come in since George Floyd was not assassinated, but killed. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's amazing what has happened. There's so many videos that are coming in. I'm so proud of the videos that are coming in. And now the white people get to see what we're going through. Now they know what Black Lives Matter mean. And I know, Damon, you're probably in your 40s or 30s. You don't listen to be as old as I am and have never known a black man. I've never known a black man.
Awesome compliment.
That was the best gift you could have given him, George.
I mean, he almost fell out the bed, George.
But Damon and Dominique, do you know any black man, I don't know about your ladies, but any black man that has never been harassed by the police officer? Ever? Any black man?
No, I don't know any.
They all give you a story
about the police harassing them to some degree.
George, have you been harassed like that?
Are you kidding? I have been harassed so many times. I mean, just driving through Beverly Hills, just driving. I was driving from New York City to Los Angeles with Jerry Seinfeld in the car, just to give him a great example. Policeman on the interstate. You were driving, policeman was going in the opposite direction, turned around and pulled me over because I was driving a brand new Lincoln. Can you believe that?
Wow. I've
been 20 times I've been pulled over by the cops. So you move to Beverly Hills, you move to West Hollywood, they're gonna pull you over. It doesn't matter. Man, I get angry just talking about it. I've been just stopped by the policeman. Growing up as a kid, my daddy was pulled over. I'm from Atlanta. So many police. just awful. I get angry talking about it.
All right. Well, that's a much loftier story than I had to talk about.
Did you get beat down? Did you get beat down?
In brand new Lincoln, in Beverly Hills. I got the police came to our house because somebody had burglarized one of the house on the block. It was like a vandalism, a prank. And so the police came to our house and they were so nice at the house. My mother, they was telling us blah, blah, blah. No, you don't have to talk. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go. And I'm like, Mom, I'm fine because I didn't do it. You know, you don't have to go. You know, you have to put your clothes. It was middle of the night. So they got me to the station. As soon as we walked out the house, they're like, all right, you little niggas, you're going to tell us who did it, blah, blah, blah. As soon as we left, I wanted to look back like, Mama! But it was, yeah. So, and then they isolated us in each room and they had this big 6'7" white cop put these handcuffs on his fist and say, you're going to tell me right now. This was a Morgan Park station, so which you're aware of.
Right there on
but I was so cool with him. I was like, officer, there's no need to resort to violence. This is a total mix up, blah, blah, blah. And I got real educated on him. He's like, they're not going to talk. Because I knew who did it. Because
right.
But I had seen enough cop shows to know not to tell on myself.
Right.
I had the TV. I did have that TV.
Wow. Damon, how old were you?
12, 13, you know.
Seriously?
Yep, 12 or 13.
So that sounds like the kids from the Exonerated Five. You know, that kind of situation.
Yep, and so they did. They rounded up me and the other three guys I hung out with. We all lived on the same block. And, you know, we were known for mischief, but this particular time, I didn't do it. But yeah, so they were real nice in front of our parents, you know, like, just want to have a few questions coming down to the station. Man, as soon as we walked out the house, they started calling us every time a type of Negro you could be.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my.
That is scary. Dominique, do you have a story of a friend or perhaps you even being pulled over?
I got pulled over, and I got pulled over by some plainclothes officers when I lived in New York. And I was coming home, and, you know, I'm just riding home, and all of a sudden they pulled me over. So I see them walking up there. They got their badges on. I was like, here we go with the foolishness, right? So he asked me all these questions, where you coming from? So I told him, I'm a comedian. I'm coming from a comedy club. And he said, okay, if you're from the comedy club, tell me a joke.
Wow.
So I looked, and I was like, tell him a joke, really? So I did tell him a joke, but the joke I told him was about smoking weed, right? He gonna say, that ain't funny, but then this ain't funny, me telling you no joke. So he looking in the car, he look around, he's like, all right, you can go ahead. And I was just like, why I gotta tell you a joke?
To prove who you are. Yeah.
To prove who I am. I'm gonna say that wasn't funny. Okay, you ain't funny either.
Okay. Wow.
Hey, in my house, Sybil, in my house in Stone Mountain, which is in a big white house, right? And I drove up, my door was open. So I called the police because I was scared to go in my house. But when the policeman got there, they asked for my ID and everything and just drove me crazy about who are you? How do you know it? Like the doctor got locked up in Boston, same story, you know?
Right, Dr. Skip Gates. Yeah.
Yes, they wanted to know, is this your house? I'm the one that called you, asshole.
Did you call him with that pronoun there? Did you?
I said, I'm the one that called you, sir.
Mr. Officer, sir.
Mr. Officer, sir, yeah, because it's in Stone Mountain. You know, it's just, we get so much prejudice and profiled all the time. It just hurts. All my life, I'm over 60. All my life, I'm afraid of the police officer. They say there's some good police officers out there, but I don't know. Only thing I've heard is bad cops. I don't know. Show me a good cop and I'll.
George, we do have police in our families, most of us, and we can say that what we know of them, they aren't necessarily bad people.
I have cops in my family, and they are nice as they can be around me, but they are Wallaces, and I know they can be mean as hell. I know they can be mean as hell. They're good around me.
I've had experiences too, though, where I've had a police officer give me a break. I was on a New Jersey Turnpike. So this was a state trooper, right? So he got behind me, he started following me, and I'm in this beat up car, right? So anytime you black and if you even a nice car or a beat up car, something wrong. You can't, if it's a nice car, it's a problem. If the car beat up, why you want a turnpike in this car that don't even seem like it should be on the highway? It was a good car if this had been through something. You know what I mean?
So you were
on the New Jersey Turnpike.
New Jersey Turnpike. Going
around
to
exit 19.
Huh? I didn't hear you.
That's the same cop pulled my black ass over. The same white cop pulled me over. Exit 19, just before the Ron Rogers chicken shop. You know the one on the right?
Yes. Yes. So he did, he pulled me over. So he could tell that in the car, I had been smoking in the car, right? And I was on the turnpike. I'm young at this time, right? So I was like, okay, but this ain't gonna end well. I can already see this, right? So he said, you been smoking in the car? And I was like, no. He was like, tell me the truth. Have you been smoking in the car? Because I smelled the smoke. I was like, all right, then if you smell the smoke, okay, I guess, He said, you got any more weed on you? I was like, no. He told me, get out. So I'm standing outside of the car on the New Jersey Turnpike. He said, if I find weed on you, I'm going to lock you up. So I did have weed on me, right? And I was like, I do have it on me. And he was like, okay, show it to me. So I showed it to him. I opened up my jacket and pointed to where it was. He got it. And he put all my little bags of weed out and he threw it away. He threw it on the side of the road, right? Then he gave me this, like, I'm your daddy lecture. Like, I ain't know I was wrong. But he did let me go. But I wanted to double back and go get my weed. You know what I'm saying? I was like, so, they do have a way of being kind, but you just don't see them as much. Let me say that. If we see more of them, I think it will help the situation if you can see more of the
my point is, I'm afraid of them. I don't care what they look like. I'm afraid of them. If I see a badge, if I see a gun, I'm afraid of the police officers.
Yeah,
but you guys, but here's the other thing is that now the discussion is amongst Black police officers and saying that they're afraid to say anything against their white officers, their fellow officers, because of being retaliated against, and in some cases there are some bad Black officers too who do the
they were in Atlanta. You saw the one in Atlanta last week.
Yeah,
the college kid out of the car.
That's right. Those guys that got those kids from Morehouse and Spelman, that tased them and they got fired. They were Black cops.
And I think the one in New York City yesterday morning, I think he was a person of color.
I think he is too, George. I saw his picture and he looked like he was Black to me as well. Yes. I was unable to tell that, but that was another case and that was a chokehold there too, George, of a case. But think about this. It's been 1 month since George Floyd, and we have an arrest, and the cop was fired and what have you. In the Breonna Taylor case, it's been almost 4 months. It's been 3.5 months since the Louisville, Kentucky police came into her home in the middle of the night on a drug search that wasn't even, she was said to be the home, hers was supposed to be the home where a suspected member of a drug ring was having drug packages sent to her home. And that was how they set this up and got the no-knock warrant. They finally, this week, they fired one of the police officers. I'm sorry?
Today they fired him, right? Or yesterday?
No, this was on the 23rd.
Okay.
So 2 days ago. 2 days ago, he was fired. Last Friday, they sent him a letter saying, this is the pre-termination letter. They went through the process, and so he's been fired, but no charges, nothing in this case.
Been fired. What does fired? Been fired. So what? Then he gets a job at another police department.
And that's a possibility, George. Yeah, that's a possibility. This week, Rayshard Brooks was memorialized and had his homegoing service, and the policemen that have been charged in the case, one for felony murder, one for assault. He's the one who of the lesser charges says, I would not have changed anything. I would have done the same thing in this case, in the way that it went down with Rayshard Brooks. That's mind-boggling. That a man who was pulled over, stopped, trying to sleep something off, And he would not have changed a thing in the way that he apprehended this man. The 30 minutes where they had the conversation, seemed quite pleasant. Dude was like, I can walk to my sister's house, and then all of a sudden the cop decides, I'm going to arrest you. And that's where it all went so very wrong. And you wouldn't have changed anything?
How could a decent man just kill a guy in the back and there's nothing you can do? Let him run. Hell, I don't care if I ever catch him again. Let him run. He got away.
They got his car, But
I can believe that he said that he wouldn't change anything, because until police get out of this culture of us against them, it's not us against them. And until they get into a place or have someone that's brave enough to stand up and say, we have to attack this from the aspect of what did we do to make communities of Black and brown people and all of these people all over the world protest and have a problem with us.
Right.
So until they're able to get to that place and able to say that we have done things that weren't right and stop holding up this shield and my brotherhood and we're victims and they're picking on us, that's a fallacy that you're being picked on. These things are happening because of a result of your behavior. So if they can never get there, I don't know how we ever get resolved.
But it's based on slavery. It's based on slavery since day one. It's always been them in control of us, control your slaves. Yeah. It's always been the white man policing us. That's why we don't know anything but the white man policing us, no matter what, even in London. That's why it's worldwide, Africa, London, everywhere, Australia. The policeman against the Black man. There's always something negative about us.
Well, I think the culture and the training for officers has to be changed, because police officers show up with this authoritative position where they feel like they cannot be challenged. They feel like they're the judge, the jury, the executioner, and they're God in that stance. And that's improper. If you're serving and protecting, it's not your job to impose a sentence at that particular place. So, like you said, the man was not a threat to society initially, and they could have let him walk it off. They could have let him walk home, but they're not showing any compassion. They don't look at us as level humans, as the same level as themselves, and they feel like they're above us. And so that whole part where the cop said, well, I said do it and you need to do it. No, sir, that's not the way the Constitution is set up. And if you have the penal codes and there was a brother online that had all the laws and he had his facts, and you can shut him down if you know the facts. Yeah.
But that's what you call being educated. That's what you call being educated. If you're educated, that's why we all should be educated. We should be educated. The police officers should be educated. Everybody should know more about the law and how to respect the law. That will keep us out of trouble and would help them out a lot too.
But what are you saying, Don? Even with that being said, though, Dave, we know that it's not a training thing because we see them use the they know how to do their jobs properly when they're dealing with our white counterpart. So see, they have to just change their mentality, in my opinion, about the way they think in particular about us, because they have excellent training when it comes to our white counterpart.
You guys think about Michigan during the coronavirus, and the governor of Michigan was trying to shut things down, right? And all of these vigilantes, all of these white people loaded with, for bear, they had their guns and they were loaded and machine guns and all kinds of rifles and
inside the building.
They were there inside the building, and outside at the Capitol, this policeman was face to face with a white man with a gun in his hands.
Yes.
And all they did was say, sir, we're gonna take you in. And they put just those little plastic wristbands around him and took him in. And they released him. Where in our world, in our society, are we ever gonna see that?
Let me tell you. Let a gang of Black men walk toward a building carrying rifles and see if they get a chance to have that conversation.
toward a Popeye's fried chicken, not a steak building, toward a Popeye's fried chicken. They're going down.
Because if we're in front of a state, in front of the state capitol, and we are armed in front of a state capitol, we're gonna have to tell them the law. Just like the guys did on the sidewalk that you talked about, and we're gonna have to explain to them as if they don't know the law why it's okay for us to be here and bear arms. That's a problem.
Yeah, but you need to tell that out of range. You don't want to.
That's
take it all the way up there trying to tell you, like, listen, I'm coming that way. Penal code states in the Second Amendment that I can carry these guns, and we're gonna pull up there. I'm 3 blocks down.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the guy.
What do you think of some of the immediate changes that we can make with the police department? Do you think? I think one against black men. I don't know who wrote the law. Black men get on the ground. I question that so much. That dehumanizes me so much right off the bat. Why we got to get on the ground all the time? What's up with that? Stop doing that.
But I think the problem comes in is with what Damon was talking about, George, when he was speaking to the fact they walk up on you and they think so little of us that I think that people would comply more with them, but you can't just walk up on me and handcuff me and don't think you deserve to give me an explanation as to why. Okay, if you're gonna handcuff me, at least tell me why am I under arrest? They say they won't tell you why you're under arrest, but then they say you won't comply. Well, you're not telling me I'm under arrest. So why would I comply to just being handcuffed and I have no reason? You're not saying anything except stop tightening up, stop fighting. You know, and the people are clearly saying, what did I do? They don't even think they owe us an explanation. So why wouldn't I?
Because they don't regard us as full-fledged human beings. We're still, 3/5 of a human, or an animal in the respect when they put us on the ground.
Yeah.
One of y'all about to get raided. So
I was gonna say, I'm not sure.
Hey, that's me.
I know it's not here.
I'm on the 25th floor and they're downstairs right now. Well, we hear y'all talking. They said, we hear y'all talking. I'm on the 25th floor. The police officer said, we hear y'all talking. They up there talking about us right now.
Y'all was really calm.
I know. I was like, I know it's not here, so I don't know. Y'all, and you guys are in any one of those cities where that could happen.
I'm in Atlanta, right across the street from the mall. I was here the first night. I told y'all the first night I saw so many blue lights over there, I thought I was at Kmart. It was blue lights flashing like you won't believe. So yeah, I'm in Atlanta. I'm scared. I live in Los. No matter what city you go to, it's police brutality against us. So it doesn't matter where you are.
Well, let's talk about a city in which Black Lives Matter are taking the DA to task for not doing enough. And this is in a city where Dominique and George, you have lived. Damon, you have spent a lot of time in Los Angeles County. They have, for the very first time, it has not just happened. She has been the DA of Los Angeles County for the last 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
And so now Jackie Lacey is under fire from Black Lives Matter, and they want her out of there. They say that this woman, who is the first African-American, first woman in this position in LA County as a district attorney, she is not doing enough to bring police to court to stand for their abuses of the system, and especially of people. And so Black Lives Matter. She's what you call
true blue. She's true blue.
That's what they're calling her. Black Lives Matter leader has been leading the protest against her, even going so far as to protest in front of her home. And they said that she is not doing enough for the police cases that have gone to court. And so Lacey is losing a lot of support, including a high-ranking U.S. Congressman, Adam Schiff of California, has withdrawn his support in her reelection effort. And other people are saying that she should lose in the runoff. She did not get enough votes in the primary in order to ease her way into the final election in November. So she has to go through a runoff with the former DA of San Francisco, who is now running for this position in Los Angeles County. It's an interesting position, but she says that in her defense, she says that she did not find that these policemen had done enough to bring them to court, or that if they were brought to court, then she thought that they would be acquitted and they would not get a win in that case.
You know who she is? She's another Clarence Thomas. She's on the board, she's black, but she ain't doing nothing for us.
Well,
and that's
also,
what Black Lives Matter is saying.
A lot of times those DAs and state's attorneys and prosecutors are concerned that if they don't toe the line, then later in cases brought about, the officers will not testify. They will start to boycott and not be as cooperative with their other investigations. But this is the time right now to hold her accountable because there's an election coming. Just like here with the Laquan McDonald situation, our state's attorney, Anita Alvarez, was up for election and the streets were talking and they got her out of there. So right now is the time to hold her accountable and put her feet to the fire. And if she don't react accordingly, as they said, you're going to lose your job.
And the thing of it is with the district attorneys and with the state prosecutors, it's all one system if you look at it. So just like they need a clean house in the police, and with the police, they need a clean house with the district attorneys too. That whole system, in my opinion, needs to be different. Because what's weird about it to me is that, okay, when you're defending yourself, you get to pick your own lawyer. But when the police do something to you, you have to use basically their counterpart or co-worker, if you will, to defend you. How are you going to win like that?
Right.
How are you going to get the justice that you deserve in that system? So that needs to be revamped as well to me. Because they do. She needs to be fired. I agree with that.
You know who's a great example of this? Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Get in your position and use your position and use that power and make it happen. Fire them, bam, fire everybody right on the spot. When you see wrong, make it right on the spot. That's what they got to do. These policemen got to be held accountable for what they do. But some of these black people, they're in true blue. They call it true blue. They won't talk against each other. Always has been like that. Maybe she's done something wrong.
But George, and to give her credit, but also to give the DA credit in Atlanta,
Mr. Howard. Yes, Mr. Howard. Yes.
And how he came with a quickness and filed charges against those policemen in the Rayshard Brooks case. So you're right. And as we've always been known to say, there have always been those folks. All of our skin folk are not our kinfolk. And so it's a situation. And Damon, and to your point, in Chicago, they got Anita Alvarez in, and they got a sister who is the state's attorney, and she is doing the damn thing.
Yes. But what's going to happen is we have to vote, and we can get these people in office. We can turn it around little by little. But if we go out and vote and get us in office, we can make those decisions. Let them know what they're doing wrong. Change it, hit it. That's what we're going to vote. I believe this year we're going to vote like we've never voted before.
Yeah, and especially the down ballot. Those are the ballots.
That's
the
it.
Down ballots are all they're just as important as the presidential,
if not
ballot.
more.
So, if not more. So we definitely have to vote in that down ballot. But I think I agree with you, George. I think that we are coming around and that we understand now more how the political process works. And what's really
so I'm gonna give you an advanced look at what tomorrow we have in the What You Need to Know newsletter, and that is Bob Johnson has come out in an interview on Fox News. He has said to Black Lives Matter movement, this is your time to develop your own political party. This is the time where you show your independence from the Democrats and from the Republicans, and to make headway in some of these offices. And he says that, like the Congressional Black Caucus said years ago when they first formed back in the 1970s, that this is the time where you're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, you are about Black people. And he's not agreeing with a lot of the things, like in terms of bringing down the Confederate statues and what have you, and some other things, and the violence that has come out of some of these. But he's saying a couple of things that make sense.
That is not right. That is not right. We don't need to create our own party right now. We need to wait and take this house this year, and then we gradually move into opposition. We can't separate right now. We have to get in position and line and strategize. What did the killer guy say? Organize, strategize.
Oh yeah, strategize.
That's what we got to do. You just can't do it right now. We will lose the party. All the blacks just be on our own right now. We got to deal with these young white kids that are on our side. We got to accept that right now. Don't divide us right now. Wait at the right time.
So he's really unhappy with Joe Biden, especially.
Yeah, I saw it.
he talked about Joe Biden, and the interview that Joe Biden had with at the end was Charlemagne the God, and
Yes.
said, you ain't black, if you can't decide who to vote for, or if you're can't determine who you're going to choose between Donald Trump and me, then you ain't black. And so he said that just shows we owe that in a Democrat like Joe Biden's mind, we own you Negroes. And so
and he said he should apologize to every black person in America. That's what he said too.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. So I'm just wondering,
if you don't vote for
George,
Trump,
I think you make a good point about it not being the time, and that especially if there's going to be a black woman who is going to be the running mate and presumed vice president after this election.
Yeah. Let's get her in first. Let's take step by step. Yeah, let's get her in first.
Not to mention a Supreme Court justice. Yes, exactly.
Well, but to be honest, they can still form their own political organization and base and party and be a voting bloc. Just like the Tea Party was a part of the Republican Party, but the Republicans bowed down to the Tea Party in that election based on their platform. So it is still possible to be a force in that type of situation without separating.
And that might be it, Damon, in some of those positions, some of those elections around the state, not necessarily for the national office, but some of those statewide elections, and put people in those categories, in those and have those campaigns in order to.
And Black Lives Matter, George, does not mean not including white kids. They're involved with that movement and that organization.
Sorry, Damon. Go ahead, Damon. I'm sorry.
So we can't, just say that Black Lives Matters is just black people, and it'll never work if it's just us.
Damon, I'm glad you said that, because I think in my heart, I'm going, why don't we throw the Native Americans in with us too? They really deserve it. They really deserve to be with us, and we need to fight for them too at the same time.
If you can find them. When the last time you ran into a Native American in your local Walmart?
Damon, you going to hell, okay? You going to hell.
Going to hell. I'm here to speak the truth. This is what you need to know, George. You don't know no damn natives.
See, what you don't know is they're all in the casinos, and some of them are richer than us. They own the casinos. How many casinos do we own, Damon?
I get that part.
There's one.
Yeah. Where?
Yeah, Mrs. Kathy Hughes is involved in the one that is it Maryland?
In Maryland, right across the river, yeah. Yeah, across the river.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What is she's an owner there? Okay, that's good.
At the MGM Grand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's involved in some way. I do think she's involved in some. So Bob Johnson wants us to tell, what does he specifically want us to do again?
He's saying that this is the time to form an independent party, and especially for some of those elections in states that were instrumental in voting Donald Trump into office last time, and that are now flipping towards the Democrats, like Michigan and Pennsylvania, and there's about 6 of them that played a part in this, in Wisconsin. So he's saying that, perhaps Black Lives Matter put some candidates in some of those elections and see what happens.
He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. Why don't he start it? As J. Anthony Brown, why don't he start it, goddammit?
Well, you know what he's involved in? He really wants to see Black folks get reparations. And he says that there should be a reparations bill, and there should be an effort to, and he said at least $14 trillion that Black folks should get.
Okay, I agree with him on that.
I don't think it's a bad idea that what he said. I think that's a good idea, but I think we have a whole lot on our plate.
Yes.
And I think we got to go issue by issue by issue. And I think that helps us stay as a whole. Like, I agree with George, and I agree with what Damon said about having our own party. But at this time right now, we have to stay on one message, on one accord, and deal with one thing at a time. Because if we start breaking off, dealing into different separate things, it's counterproductive. So the thing.
But wait a second. I got my hat on. I'd be thinking, what if we were to break off and start our own party? How big would that be? How far is that going to take us?
Well, if every voting African American registered to vote, who's able to do that, That's still about 13, 14% of the population, right? And so, but to affect some sort of change through coalitions, and that way to affect an even greater change by coalescing with other groups, say with the Native Americans or with Hispanic Americans or what have you. Yes, George.
Sybil, you know everything now. If I'm right, if I remember, I took my preposition today, so I'm doing long time memory. I think it was 227,000 people Black did not vote in Michigan.
Yeah.
And we could have won that state.
That's true. Well, George, if you add up all of the Black folks who did not vote because one, they either didn't like Hillary Clinton or they didn't think that their vote would matter and that Hillary Clinton would win. And that makes a big difference and would have flipped the electoral college as
we
well.
Wouldn't be in the position we're in today.
We would not be in this position now.
But see, that's the other thing, where we're concentrated as a people, and we have to educate our people of what electoral college states and where our vote, because she won the popular vote. So you can't say people didn't necessarily vote. Of course, more should have and could have, but if they weren't in the proper locations, it still wouldn't change.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. They were in the state of Michigan. They could have voted in Michigan. Yes, you can.
But George, here's the other thing. Electoral college members don't necessarily vote the way that they're instructed to, because sometimes they get in there and the vote flips on their part. And that's what they believe happened in 2016 as well, that not necessarily they weren't necessarily voting the way the people instructed them to, or the votes of the people went, but that they voted.
This is true. But had we won Michigan, we would have had that electoral vote. Right? Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Had we voted, we would have had
George, I'm not sure about all of those states because Wisconsin was already moving in a very conservative direction anyway. Yes. And so I'm not sure that Wisconsin, although it's different now, you know, they have Tony Evers, who's the governor, and a Democratic governor and Democratic lieutenant governor. But that's making a difference. Who is an African American, by the way, the lieutenant governor, by the way.
Yeah.
But all of those things, you know, not being equal because, you know, the vote and the way the state was already set up in terms of their electoral, their political differences and challenges and what have you. So there's so many things, but the bottom line in all of this is that we are at a very opportune moment. This is a great opportunity.
That's true. That's the bottom line.
To carry forth on this. And this is what I wanted to ask you, Damon, because I know that you are, you have your ear to the ground about a lot of things that are going on and your connection with young activists. So what are you hearing just in terms of this upcoming election and not local, but I'm talking about the national, and what young people are saying to you?
You know, it's unfortunate because they're not, of course, for Trump, but they are not sold on Biden. And a lot of them are still not happy with Obama, to be honest. They have a lot of issue with some of the things that he did not do, and how he kind of toes the party line and didn't do enough at the time. So it's really going to be tricky. I think the biggest galvanizing factor for them is against Trump. But you know, a lot of them want to go independent. They were heavily leaning toward Bernie. So that's another thing with that. So this Biden is too entrenched in the old system. There's a lot of controversial things from his past that pop up, and that's all these activists need to see is him holding hands with a former Klan leader, or they're really upset about the criminal act that they put in place with the
94
sentencing. Yeah, so you know, Biden has got a tough road to hold with the youth. That's going to be tricky. But his best grace is the fact that he is not Trump.
Dominique, you were talking about issue by issue. What choice do we have right now? Dominique was talking about it earlier. Issue by issue. What choice do I have? Whether I don't like Biden or not, I know he's better than Trump. And damn it, I'm not.
That's it. That's it.
I was talking to my niece. And, you know, of course, they're young. So she was expressing some of the things, and she does activist work as well. They've been to protests, my nieces and nephews and everything. And she was expressing to me the same thing that Damon was saying. But what my take was with her, I was like, okay, I hear you. And I understand that. I said, but you clearly understand the president that we're dealing with. First of all, we're going to be hard pressed to find a politician that is upstanding and has not done anything that you can say, okay, he just as dirty as the other. I said, my take on it is you need to vote because, first of all, our ancestors fought for us to have the right to vote. That's the first thing. There is going to be a president in the United States of America, regardless of whether you vote or not. So I definitely think you need to make your voice heard. Secondly, I said, I know you don't like Joe Biden. I don't think that Joe Biden is the best person. But I think that it would fare us better if you voted and he became the president and we continue to work from there. We know he's not the best person, but this person, this Donald Trump guy with no leadership skills, with this crass way he has and this racist way he has, he is just not good for the president. Okay, I hear you with Joe Biden, but don't sit back and say, oh, I don't like Joe Biden and I don't want to vote and run the risk of Donald Trump winning again. It's not worth that. Right. You know, you get Joe Biden in there and then we continue to work from there and you put the press on Joe Biden and you say, okay, you here, now do what you say you're going to do, or you keep marching and you stay in the streets and we don't like him either. But we have a better 4 years than what we got going on now.
Well, let's hope.
The way we headed now, we headed all the way down. So that's what I explained to her. And she said that's good.
Damon, Dominique, it's not all about Biden. It's about the Supreme Court. Look what's happening right now.
Well, and that's why Trump got in, because it was about the judges and the selection
exactly.
of judges. It's
about the judges. Look what happened when we couldn't get our last Democrat. Obama couldn't get the last guy in because they held it. It's a big change. And so you're saying it's not just about Joe Biden, but it is about the selection of members of the appellate and the federal court system, as well as the Senate. The Senate. We have to take that into account. You're absolutely right. It's not just about Biden, but it is about Biden, and it is about the choices that he makes as far as the courts. And God bless her, but RBG, the Supreme Court justice, is holding on. She's holding. I mean, the woman has fought cancer like a half a dozen times.
I didn't want to say it.
In Jesus' name we pray.
And and I know she's telling people, look, you gotta give me some help here. I'm holding on as hard as I can, and that's going to be and the others. I'm not sure how much longer. Clarence Thomas, he might be an RBG and he might, hold on as long as possible. But definitely, in terms of the flow of the Supreme Court and the way that they are moving more and more in a conservative nature,
totally.
And it's definitely it's a necessary thing that we get, that folks of a more liberal nature get a liberal president in there in order.
Let's tell your viewers who tuned in to see three comedians that we're not always joking. So if y'all was hoping for some joking.
I thank you for that, but I also I'm really excited about the work that your son is doing and the conversations that you're having, and Dominique, that your nieces and nephews are doing, and just want people to have these conversations with our young people, continue to have them, because it's so necessary, and import some to George Wallace, bring him over, to the 25th floor, and maybe we can engage him in some of these conversations as well. I'm just really proud of the way and taking advantage of this moment. The other example of that, you guys, is what happened last Saturday in Tulsa, where the TikTok generation, they made their resignations and did not show up, right?
I was there. I was invited by Silk, and what's the other lady name? Silk.
Diamond and Silk.
Oh, Diamond and Silk.
I was with them, and they invited me. I counted, it was 1 million people there. I got up to 600,000. I said, that's it for me. I'm not counting anymore. 600, I got up to 6,200. I'm not counting anymore. 1 million people, he said. 1 million people, he said, was there.
That's what he said. We're coming. He said 1 million were coming that could have, had put in their reservations. And what happened was all of the kids, young people, filed their reservations for it and did not show up.
I heard that.
And that's so awesome.
Hey, Sid, you know what? He can say however many people he want to say that. But if it was a comedy show with us in that building, the promoter be walking around with his head down because he took a loss.
Yes, it's a plot.
He'll be walking around saying, man, I don't know what happened. Did y'all promote it on y'all social media? What happened?
So the answer to our scenario is we need to get Biden some hot ass TikTok videos. That's how he can win. We need to start training him up for all the TikTok videos. If he can harness the TikTok generation, we in there.
Yeah.
So you guys, one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you, and I'm hoping that we can talk about this, is the coronavirus. And as we have seen, a lot of comedians have a number of comedians, I should say, I'm not sure about a lot, but a number of comedians have ventured back out into the clubs. And one of those we saw last week was our friend D.L. Hughley, and how he fell out and was being treated for dehydration, exhaustion, and they discovered that he has a coronavirus and that he is asymptomatic. One of you has also gone back into the club, and I'm wondering about the others and how are you looking at? Are you having conversations? What's going on in your head? And let's start with you, Damon.
Well, I was planning to do Riddle's Comedy Club starting this weekend, but we pushed it back a couple more weeks because not just because of DL, but just they didn't have proper distancing and setup. See, the thing about the comedy, you're indoors, and comedy clubs are designed to be intimate and on top of each other. Okay. And now the clubs need the capacity for it to be profitable, whereas we as comedians, we need the audience to feed off of. So I'm suggesting that comics figure out a way to live stream their live shows, do a very limited capacity, 50 people or less. Therefore, you can still get the revenue from your streaming. The clubs can get their revenue from the food and beverage, or y'all can split it. But it's not time to pack back in comedy clubs. And I was really surprised to see DL was back in the club. Not only the club he was in is a small spot. We know he don't need the money. Okay. I don't know what his life is like. All I could fathom was he was trying to get the hell out the house because, and I don't know how he was exhausted already because it was his first gigs back out. But
Damon, do you know he had been in Dallas the weekend before?
He was in Dallas the first, he was in Dallas the week before.
Yeah, so I mean, but I get your joke and I get the point, but it's just like he's back out there, and it's like, really? And I'm with you.
Well,
why?
I mean, we do this for a passion. Most comedians that are sincere comics would do this for free anyway because we love doing it. We all miss it. This Zoom don't give you the same feedback. We're stir crazy. We're used to not being home. His wife and family ain't used to seeing DL on the road every week. She might have booked those shows for him. Like, you know what? You need to get your ass out of this house or we ain't gonna make it. And I know he got a big ass house, but you still got to cross paths in the kitchen. So I don't know. I did hear that he said that the Nashville show was for charitable situations, but we're praying that, of course, he recovers, and let that be a lesson to us all to not. If you can afford to not do it, then you should stay out a little bit longer, especially in the states that are hot spots, because some places like Texas did not close early and then they open back up too soon, and you got a lot of people out there that don't believe in it's a hoax and all that, and they're spreading the thing around, and the virus is real.
Yeah, it is. Dom, what do you think?
I think I agree with a lot that what Damon said. I'm cautious in that way too, like the guy that does my book, and we talk about what is their coronavirus curriculum, or if you want to say it like that, what are they doing? Some certain states have certain capacities. Like one club I heard about, they can only have X, Y, and Z amount of people. They're taking temperatures. The people are wearing masks. And he sent me pictures of the room, the way that it was set up, and that they were social distance, that they would be very far away from me that I wouldn't have to worry about that, that I could come in the back entrance and I could wear my mask all the way till I went on stage and then do the show and then go off stage. But I do need to go back to work. I want to go back to work, but I am leery. I have had some dates, like Damon said, that I pushed back because I didn't like the way the spikes looked in their particular town. So I would call them and say, I'm not going there. Not right now. It's not, they got more cases than anybody. And I'm in California. So I'm in a state where they had high cases. We one of the initial shut down states. So it's kind of up in the air. I was surprised that they didn't appear to be at the club. Like Damon said, that's a very small club. So I was really shocked when I saw the people around the stage and everything. They just were packed up in there like it wasn't no coronavirus. So that really shocked me.
That's a bigger concern, not just for my own safety, but for my supporters. Like, if you've been supporting me, I don't want to expose my people to a facility that is not taking the proper precautions, and then they end up getting sick or taking the illness to other people. And we're actually leading the charge to start the spread to continue. So that's another concern as well.
So George, you have a room in Vegas, and you also travel the world doing your comedy, and especially like a lot of corporate gigs and things like that, in addition to what you do in Vegas. So what are your thoughts now? I mean, you have been sequestered, you've been quarantined for 3 months now. And what are your thoughts about getting back out there?
He don't need the money.
He don't need the money, and his room was already set up for social distancing.
Listen, number one, I'm old, okay, and I know I've done 100,000 shows already. So if you see my black ass on the stage, I will be covered in saran wrap and a plastic shield in front of me. I don't give a damn. I ain't going back to that stage. Now you guys, they were talking about the club. So if people don't know about this club, at the Zanies in Nashville, your feet is practically touching somebody if they got an arm. It's that tight. All the country rooms are tight, intimate. And so when people laugh, the germs are coming out. When the comedian's on the stage, the germs are going out. So I know I'm not going on that stage until maybe there's a vaccine. I'm just not going to do it. I don't trust the people backstage, let alone me. I don't trust the people backstage. I don't trust the people in the audience. I don't even want to go to the airport. I'm just concerned about this virus. And my mom used to tell me the booger man gonna get you. Well, the booger man ass is out there now. We don't know where he's coming from.
And Damon is famous for he'll get in the car and drive. He will not, he doesn't, he's good with the air, but you will drive, Damon.
Yeah, like a 4 hour or less, I might jump on the road. Actually, we were discussing maybe purchasing or renting an RV and doing the road like that, we could just kick it. We don't have to be in a hotel as much exposure. Stay out that airport, stay out them enclosed airplanes, and try to just like RV it this summer.
Could you do pop-ups, Damon?
He got the bug.
Could you like go and with all of your fans say, okay, we're coming to Nashville, but we're going to be in this parking lot. We're going to go to Walmart and we're going to do our comedy in park the RV and do our comedy outside. Could you do something like that? Or
if people would support it, and have them purchase their tickets in advance, because it's hard to harness the outdoors. Or you could do it in a church parking lot. Where churches, they have a lot of organizations, so where it could be preset the distance. Because like I said, regardless of the revenue from it, I still don't want to draw people to an area where they're not socially distancing themselves. So the drive-in theory has been the way people have been doing lately. They had a pop-up drive-in show where you stay in your cars and they project the comedians on the screen and you stand in front of the cars. That's an ideal situation right now for the summer.
You guys, we're coming to the end, and I want to thank you, first of all, for taking the time to do this, and I do appreciate you guys, and I will say
we're
that
at the end?
Yeah, we are coming to the end. I went to support a friend of ours last night, and it was in an outdoor situation in doing stand-up, and it was outside, and everybody was masked, and people were socially distant from each other, but that's rare from what I'm seeing. And
not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
I hear you. But Damon, tell us what you are doing, because I see the Urban Flicks TV T-shirt. So tell us about your partnership with them and what you're doing.
I have a stand-up series. I executive produce called Laugh Tonight with Damon Williams. There's 24 comedians. They do 10 to 15-minute sets plus a sit-down interview. It was a family project. My ex-cousin-in-law is the owner of the network. There's a free 7-day trial, Urban Flicks TV. A lot of multicultural casting. They have it's called Urban Flicks, which makes you think it's Black Netflix, but it's really multicultural. And their tagline is redefining urban, which I said, why the hell would you name yourself something and then have to spend money to tell people it's not that? Why the hell would they do that? But it's Urban Flicks. And it's a great show, and it's only $4.99 a month to subscribe, but it's a 7-day free trial. You can binge. I got 8 episodes, and we're going to do a second season when the world opens back up. So thank you for allowing me to mention that.
Of course. And so we can just go to urbanflix.tv?
urbanflixtv.com.
Okay.
Yeah, or on social media, urbanflix.tv.
Okay. All right. And definitely. Dom, are we going to see you anywhere in the upcoming?
I think so. I'm going to be going into Philadelphia at the Punchline in August.
Okay.
I think I have a date there, but we'll see. Then I'm supposed to go from there into Houston. I don't know about that no more. We've been talking about that. Because, working ain't worth getting sick to me. Right. I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? Right. So I'm working on that. And I also have a special that's on, though. It's on a streaming platform called Tubi. It's on Tubi, Tubi. It's called Stop Me When I'm Lying. It has my it's Dominique and Stop Me When I'm Lying. But it's also an album as well. So you can get it on Google Play. You can get it on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and those things. So I do have that. And I'm going to be on the new season of the Boondocks reboot.
Awesome. Okay.
We stopped recording, of course, because of coronavirus. So we'll see what happens with the recording when it'll pick back up. But
well, you did so great on Black Jesus. I can't wait for this.
Thank you, Steve.
Can't wait.
So that's what's going on with me, and I'm just trying to read some books and stay up on what's going on. I need to get on stage. I don't want to be the Tin Man when I go back. But
and George.
Dear Heavenly Father, please keep a watchful eye on D&D, Dominique and Damon, when they go into these damn rooms filled with these germs and shit. Keep an eye on Damon when he's performing for the church audience, where most of the cases are out of the church. Please, Lord in heaven, I don't pray real good. I'm like Trump, but keep a watchful eye on these 2 idiots going out there to work for these people.
But if I don't go to work, I might have to come stay on the 25th floor with you.
Okay.
Or the house is stone mountain.
You can't get in here. Dominique, you don't know about me. My daughter stopped by to visit me the other day. I waved at her ass on the 25th floor. Told her to keep moving. Keep moving. You ain't coming up in here. If y'all see me, you will be in my bedroom. Ain't nobody coming in here. You hear me? Ain't nobody coming in here.
I'm like you too, George. Don't nobody come up in here. I don't play that game. Nobody comes up in here.
So everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And let's get back and talk about this again.
One more thing, Sybil. You look so good, Sybil. You
do, see.
Thank you. It's all this good living in Fort Worth, Texas.
Did you get
and Damon, I gotta get to you guys because I love watching your wife and her workout. It is awesome. And it is so exhilarating watching her do it because I'm trying, but and I love your new baby. I love Margot, dog.
The dog got his own Instagram page.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of dog is?
And follow these guys on Instagram and Twitter as well. So please help me thank them, and I will see you guys again soon. I will be back on Monday, and I appreciate you more than you know. Please be careful, be safe, wash your hands, and we'll be back here on Monday.
I love you. Say it, Sybil. I love you.
And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, George Wallace.
That's right. Love you, Sid.
Take care, you guys. Thank you so much.